Over here, I mean the row, the housing areas of the slaves. A number of small structures, homes to generations of African Americans, extended west along both sides of this oak line, avenue or alley. The 6 remaining houses are a memorial or memorials to them in their transition from slavery into freedom. These buildings housed and sheltered enslaved people, military troops, freed people, tenant farmers, and others. Here they created families and witnessed them torn apart. They loved and hated. They laughed, cried, and screamed out. They rejoiced with a song and prayed for strength. They were fearful and courageous. They learned to read and write. They were born, lived, and died. They dreamed and they transcended. These are the slave houses here. A question of ownership. What if the government gave you land, then took it away? Or what if it confiscated your land and gave it away? In 1865, the federal government distributed James Island Plantation land to freed people who believed in their right to own the land they had slaved on for generations. Land ownership held hope and promise for them to assert their freedom and make their own choices. To protect their claims, freed people organized armed patrols, sometimes preventing plantation owners access without military escort. However, families like the McLeod petitioned to reoccupy their lands and by 1870 reclaimed their property with support from the federal government. "20 freedmen now residing on McLeod Plantation hold titles under General Sherman's Special Field Orders Number 15, evidenced by certificates in writing from General Saxton. The property cannot therefore be restored unless the Negroes holding the said titles will willingly give them up. Just a question of ownership. Well, folks, I can tell you one thing. From looking at this tree just itself, I am guessing that tree over 150 years old. If you can close your eyes and look back in time, you probably can imagine what I'm thinking now. Just look at this tree. If this area was filled with slaves at that time, imagine what has happened around this tree right in the back of the so-called master's house. Look at that tree, and you tell me. This is the back of the house. This house was built by slaves. Surely it was built by slaves. We'll go to the front. Before we go to the front, take a look at that tree from a distance again. That's the oldest tree on the site that I was told. We'll go to the front of the house. This is what they call the master's house, I guess.
So this house is 160 years old.
160 years old.
1850.
I can walk over here, right?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Whew. That's some stuff. So you stand here all day long?
Yeah, we alternate between doing the tours and being in the house. But yep, I'm an interpreter, so I'm one of the people who interprets the history of the site.
You speak Gullah?
A little bit.
Oh, good Lord. That's an old looking mirror there.
It is. You know that's at least from the 20th century.
20th century?
Yeah, from the 1900s.
Yeah.
1920s.
Yeah.
You know, the Civil War was here, so the headquarters. So the Confederate Army, the United States Army, and the Freedom Bureau all occupied this house during the Civil War. So all of the furniture and things that was in there before that was in stuff they acquired after.
Port Royal, South Carolina. Look at that picture there. Remind me of my grandparents. The story they used to tell us back in the days. I can only imagine how their back felt, how their feet felt, barefooted.
So it's cool. We've only been open since April, but sometimes we have descendants of the enslaved people who were here in McLeod. They come out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so they have stories, the family stories from their different rooms. They tell us things that are different than what we thought we knew. So it's a real growing history. We learn something new every day.
What all can you speak in Gullah?
I can't say too much. I can't speak on command on in Gullah. If I'm around my family or I'm mad, you might hear it come out a little bit. But for the most part, I code switch very well.
You know that African village not too far from here is an
Oh, you times you used to live out there in Sheldon?
yeah, but y'all you didn't live on